What's going on, my good people? Of course, I was in my Bible, man, and I turned to Ezekiel 37. And that chapter was called Dry Bones. And I had read that chapter before, and I've done a video on it before, and I posted it. But I said, what did it take to get to the dry bones part? So I said, let me go back to chapter 36 and read that out and see if I can come up with, some context as to how, we got to the dry bones situation. And that's what I'm saying. I tell people, if you're going to read it, man, read it for context. And after that, then you can go ahead and read it for other things. But let's read. So this is Ezekiel 36 in the Message Bible. And the title of this chapter is Back to Your Own Land. This is after the brutality they faced at the hands of Edom. And now they're going back to their own land. This is kind of God like warning them, like, hey, don't forget what I done saved you from. So let's read. And now, Son of man, prophesy to the mountains of Israel. Say, mountains of Israel, listen to God's message. God, the Master, says, because the enemy crowned over you, good, those old hills are now ours. Now here is a prophecy in the name of God, the Master. Because nations came at you from all sides, ripping and plundering and hauling pieces of you off every which way, and you've become the butt of every cheap gossip and jokes. Therefore, mountains of Israel, listen to the message of God, the Master. My message to mountains and hills, to ditches and valleys, to the heaps of rubble and the empty towns that are looted for plunder and turned into jokes by all the surrounding nations. Who was that got turned to a joke by all the surrounding nations? Let me continue reading. Therefore, says God, the Master, now I'm speaking in a fiery rage against the rest of the nations, but especially against Edom, who in an orgy of violence and shameless indolence robbed me of my land, grabbed it for themselves. Therefore, prophecy over the land of Israel. Preach to the mountains and hills, to every ditch and valley, the message of God, the Master. Look, listen, I'm angry and I care. I'm speaking to you because you've been humiliated among the nations. Who has that been humiliated amongst the nations? Who is that? Therefore, I, God, the Master, am telling you that I am solemnly sworn to the nations around, you are next. And it's their turn to be humiliated. But you, mountains of Israel, will burst with new growth, putting out branches and bearing fruit for my people Israel. My people are coming home. Do you see? I'm back again. I'm on your side. You'll be plowed and planted as before. I'll see to it that your population grows all over Israel, that the towns fill up with people, that the ruins are rebuilt. I'll make this place teem with life, human and animal. The country will burst into life, life and more life. Your towns and villages full of people just as in the old days. I'll treat you better than I've ever had, and then you'll realize that I am God. I'll put people over you, my own people Israel. They'll take care of you, and you'll be their inheritance. Never again will you be a harsh and unforgiving land to them. God, the Master, says, because you have a reputation of being a land that eats people alive and makes women barren, I'm telling you that you'll never eat people alive again, nor make women barren. decree of God, the Master. And you'll never again let taunts of outsiders be heard over you, nor permit nations to look down on you. You'll no longer be a land that makes women barren. Decree of God, the Master. Continuing on. God's message came to me, Son of man. When the people of Israel lived in their land, they polluted it by the way that they lived. I poured out my anger on them because of the polluted blood they poured out on the ground. And so I got thoroughly angry with them polluting the country with their wanton murders and dirty gods. I kicked them out, exiled them to other countries. I sentenced them according to how they lived. Wherever they went, they gave me a bad name. People said, these are God's people, but they got kicked off his land. I suffered much pain over my holy reputation, which the people of Israel blackened in every country they entered. Therefore, tell Israel, message of God, the Master, I'm not doing this for you, Israel. I'm doing it for me, to save my character, my holy name, which you've blackened in every country where you've gone. I'm going to put my great and holy name on display, the name that has been ruined in so many countries, the name that you blackened wherever you went. Then the nations will realize who I really am, that I am God, when I show my holiness through you, so that they can see it with their own eyes. For here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you out of these countries, gather you from all over, and bring you back to your own land. I'll pour pure water over you and scrub you clean. I will give you a new heart, put a new spirit in you. I'll remove the stone heart from your body and replace it with a heart that's God-willed, not self-willed. I'll put my spirit in you and make it possible for you to do what I tell you and live by my commands. You'll once again live in the land I gave your ancestors. You'll be my people. I'll be your God. I'll pull you out of the stinking pollution. I'll give you personal orders to the wheat fields, telling them to grow bumper crops. I'll send no more famines. I'll make sure your fruit trees and field crops flourish. Other nations won't be able to hold you in contempt again because of famine. And then you'll think back over your terrible lives, the evil, the shame, and be thoroughly disgusted with yourselves, realizing how badly you lived, all those obscenities you carried out. I'm not doing this for you. Get this through your thick heads. Shame on you. What a mess you've made of things, Israel. Message of God, the Master. On the day I scrub you clean from all your filthy living, I'll also make your cities livable. The ruins will be rebuilt. The neglected land will be worked again, no longer overgrown with weeds and thistles. Worthless in the eyes of passerby, people will exclaim, why this weed patch has ever turned into a garden? Why this weed patch has been turned into a Garden of Eden, and the ruined cities smashed into oblivion are now thriving. The nations around you that are still in existence realize that I, God, rebuild ruins and replant empty waste places. I, God, said so, and I will do it. Message of God, the Master. Yet again, I'm going to do what Israel asked. I'll increase their population with a flock of sheep, like the mulling of flocks of sheep brought for sacrifices in Jerusalem during the appointed feast. The ruined cities will be filled with flocks of people, and they'll realize that I am God. Whew, that was heavy. Because God was like saying, I'm going to take you out this land, but I want to let you know first that your people was stupid wicked. It started with Solomon getting all them wives and worshiping all they gods, and then turning away from the God that freed him and his daddy and all the other people before them and Moses now. When they was in power, they just kept getting more dirty and more dirty and more dirty. And by the time they got to the end, when they got taken out of the land, they were all the way filthy. It just tells you how filthy your people was. Say how you made a mess of things, Israel. I've given you this thing, and you shame my name everywhere you went. And when I'm talking to Israel, I'm not talking about the people over there. I'm just not. You already know how I feel about that. We know who the real people are, and it's going to be discovered soon enough. And then you're going to have to go and read this book like, man, this is my people. Your people made some mistakes before they got taken out of their land. And they got scattered all over the place because your ancestors were wicked, wicked to the bone. So they was killing and worshiping other gods and issuing sacrifices to other gods. This is what your people was doing. Yeah, Putin came out and showed them pictures of all them black disciples, all the disciples that they said was white. Putin came out and said they was black. Putin showed us pictures, and if nobody in America or in Rome can show us pictures from earlier times where the people were white, then I'm not even listening to them. So what I'm trying to tell you, African Americans and people in the Caribbean and the nations of South America, it's important to read this book. Important to read this book. Even if you don't believe it, just read it. We trying to get back home, man. We trying to get back home into the land. And to do that, we got to be washed clean. God say, "When I wash you clean." He said, then you'll think back over your terrible lives, the evil and the shame, and be thoroughly disgusted with yourselves. Man, let me tell you something. When God came into my heart, man, and cured me of the sexual lust that I had in my heart, when I finally saw what I was doing and the haze had came from my eyes, boy, I started looking back at all the people that I had been associating myself with sexually, all the women I associated myself with sexually, and boy, I took the longest bath. I took a bath, I took a shower, and then took a bath again. I said, man, what the hell was I doing? Setting myself up for failure, just like some of you be out there doing with your lust. The evil and the shame. When you do things that bring evil and shame to your life, dog, God is trying to cure you from these things. We onto a new thing. America trying to go back to the 1700s. You got Trump talking about tariffs from the 1700s. They try to go back to the 1700s. We trying to go forward. And to go forward, we can't be acting like we did in yesteryears. We can't be comparing ourselves to Edom. We can't be comparing ourselves to our oppressors, the people that did that to us over those 400 years. We can't compare ourselves to them and the things that they do. Let them do what they do. Let's do our own thing over here.